The defeat of a Sith Lord is an act that should resonate through the histories of 1,000 generations. For the Jedi Knight who accomplished this, one would presuppose the highest honors, an immediate elevation in status, and a place among the Order's most revered figures. Yet, for Obi-Wan Kenobi, his reward for slaying Darth Maul was a reluctant promotion, and then a full decade of stasis. 10 years would pass before the Jedi Council would grant him the rank he had earned in the fires of Naboo. This was not a mere delay, it was a profound statement. A statement about the rigidity of the Jedi Order, the deep-seated doctrine that governed them, and the single-minded focus that would ultimately blind them to their own ruin. In this record, we will examine the Jedi's 10-year insult to Obi-Wan Kenobi, a delay caused by unyielding tradition and broken only by the desperation of a galactic war. Our examination must begin with the victory itself and the cold shoulder that followed. In the year 32 BBY, the galaxy was forced to acknowledge the re-emergence of the Sith, an ancient enemy thought to be extinct for a millennium. On the planet Naboo, the Zabrak assassin Darth Maul proved to be a terrifyingly real threat, an agent of destruction who struck down the wise and powerful Jedi Master, Qui-Gon Jinn. In that moment, the established order seemed to fail. But then, a Padawan, a young man named Obi-Wan Kenobi, did what his master could not. Fueled by loss and a deep connection to the Force, he faced the Sith Lord alone. In a stunning display of improvisation and discipline, Kenobi defeated Maul, bisecting him and sending him falling into the planet's plasma-refining abyss. He had avenged his master and eliminated a true Sith Lord, a victory of galactic importance. For this, the Jedi Council granted him the rank of Jedi Knight. And that was all. No conferment of the Master title, no consideration for a seat on the Council, simply the next obligatory step. To understand the gravity of this slight, one must understand the context. The Jedi had not confronted a true Sith in centuries. Maul was not some dark side aberration, he was a trained apprentice to a Sith master. Obi-Wan's victory should have been recorded as a monumental achievement. Instead, the Council's response was tepid. They saw a Padawan who had shown great promise, but they also saw a protocol that had been violated. You see, the Council had initially refused Qui-Gon's request to train Anakin Skywalker. It was Qui-Gon's dying wish that Obi-Wan train the boy. Faced with Obi-Wan's solemn vow to honor that wish, even if it meant acting in defiance of them, the Council was forced to relent. They made him a knight, but in their eyes, he was a newly minted one, now burdened with a Padawan they believed was too old and too emotional to be trained. His victory over Maul was not interpreted as a qualification for mastery, but as the final trial of his own apprenticeship. He was a knight, nothing more, and he now had a 10-year-old charge to guide. For the next 10 years, the archives would record him simply as Jedi Knight Kenobi. He was a loyal servant of the Republic, a skilled diplomat, and a dedicated teacher to his Padawan, Anakin Skywalker. He undertook countless missions and upheld the Jedi Code with unwavering dedication. Yet, the rank of Master remained withheld. The reason for this is found not in a single decision, but in the ingrained doctrine that governed Jedi ascension. The most honored and straightforward path to the rank of Master was not through individual acts of heroism, no matter their scale. It was through the act of teaching. A Jedi Knight was expected to take on a Padawan learner and successfully guide them all the way to their own knighthood. This tradition was the bedrock of the Order's promotional structure. It was not merely about the transference of knowledge. It was about demonstrating the wisdom, patience, and leadership necessary to shape the next generation. It was a trial of character that could take well over a decade to complete. For 10 years, Obi-Wan was locked into this path. His own advancement was inextricably tied to Anakin's progress. Until Anakin was deemed ready for the trials and became a Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan would remain a knight himself. This was the rule, unspoken but absolute. It did not matter that he had defeated a Sith. It did not matter that his diplomatic prowess was already earning him the moniker, the Negotiator. Tradition dictated the path, and Obi-Wan, ever the dutiful Jedi, walked it without complaint. He poured his energy into molding Anakin, a Padawan who was immensely powerful, but also reckless and arrogant, believing his master was holding him back. The galaxy, however, was about to change in a way that would render all such traditions secondary to one simple, brutal fact. The Jedi were at war. The turning point came on the desolate, red-dusted world of Geonosis. Obi-Wan's investigation into an assassination attempt uncovered a vast separatist conspiracy and a massive droid army poised to strike the Republic. His discovery was the spark that ignited the Clone Wars. Captured by the Sith Lord Count Dooku, Obi-Wan, along with Anakin and Padme Amidala, were sentenced to execution in a gladiatorial arena. What followed was a catastrophe for the Jedi Order. Mace Windu arrived with a strike force of over 200 Jedi, but they were walking into a trap. The arena erupted into a maelstrom of blaster fire. By the time Master Yoda arrived with the new clone army, the Jedi ranks had been decimated. Legends-era chronicles document a staggering loss. Of the roughly 200 Jedi who entered that arena, only around 29 are believed to have survived. This loss of life created an unprecedented crisis. The Jedi Order, once guardians of peace, were now generals in a galactic war. They needed leaders, strategists, and commanders, and they needed them immediately. The old, slow, tradition-bound system of promotion was no longer sustainable. In the chaotic aftermath of the First Battle of Geonosis, with the Clone Wars officially begun, the Council was forced to adapt. It was in this crucible of war that Obi-Wan Kenobi was finally granted the rank of Master. His promotion was no longer tied to Anakin's training. It was a recognition of his proven abilities, his critical role in uncovering the Separatist plot, and the desperate need for experienced commanders. Shortly after Geonosis, Anakin himself was promoted to Jedi Knight. And with that, Obi-Wan's decade-long wait was over. He was now a Jedi Master, and soon after, was appointed to the Jedi High Council to fill a seat left vacant by the tragedies of the war. The insult of the 10-year delay had been wiped away by the bloody necessity of conflict. The promotion of Obi-Wan Kenobi to Jedi Master sets the stage for one of Star Wars' greatest ironies. The man who waited a decade for the rank, who followed the rules and respected tradition, would eventually sit on the very council that repeatedly denied that same rank to his own apprentice. Anakin Skywalker's journey stands in stark, painful contrast to Obi-Wan's. Where Obi-Wan's promotion was accelerated by war, Anakin believed his own heroic feats in the Clone Wars entitled him to the same. He was the hero with no fear, a warrior of unmatched power. Yet the Council saw what Obi-Wan had long struggled with, Anakin's impulsiveness, his aggression, and his attachments. They sensed the anger bubbling just beneath the surface. Where they saw steadfastness in Obi-Wan, they saw recklessness in Anakin. The ultimate insult came when Chancellor Palpatine appointed Anakin to the Jedi Council as his personal representative. The Council allowed the appointment, but pointedly refused to grant him the rank of Master. "You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master," Mace Windu declared. It was an unprecedented move, a political maneuver that left Anakin feeling humiliated and distrusted. He was ordered to spy on the Chancellor, a man he considered a friend. Obi-Wan found himself in an impossible position. He agreed with the Council's assessment, knowing his former Padawan was not ready for the responsibility. He saw Anakin's flaws not as a personal failing, but as a dangerous vulnerability. This denial of rank became a festering wound for Anakin, one that Palpatine expertly exploited. It fed his paranoia and pushed him further down the path to the dark side. The very institution Obi-Wan had served so patiently was, through its rigid adherence to its own perceptions, creating the monster that would destroy it. The Master who waited was forced to watch as the apprentice who could not was consumed. In the end, the record of Obi-Wan's 10-year wait for the rank of Master is not trivia. It is a lens through which we can view the core philosophies and fatal flaws of the prequel-era Jedi Order. The initial delay, rooted in the rigid tradition of a Padawan's training, demonstrates an institution so bound by its own dogma that it could overlook an extraordinary accomplishment. It showed a lack of flexibility that would prove to be their undoing. His eventual promotion was not a reward for his patience or a correction of their earlier oversight. It was an act of desperation, a battlefield commission born from the catastrophic losses at Geonosis. The war that finally made him a master was the same war that would consume his apprentice and burn the Jedi Order to the ground. The decade-long insult, therefore, was not merely a personal slight. It was a symptom of the Order's blindness. They valued tradition over evidence, and in doing so, they failed to recognize both the hero who stood before them and the villain they were creating in his shadow. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the patient master, became a pillar of a crumbling institution, his long-delayed promotion a final, fleeting moment of order before the chaos swept everything away.